Hey guys, what's up? This is Dan Cusin Jr. here. As you can see, I need a haircut. This pandemic has been crazy, but I've had a lot of people ask me questions about fishing for beginners. I think a lot of times growing up, I had the luxury of going fishing with my father, and he showed me a lot of different things, and he got back into fishing as well. And we both kind of learned together. So I really cherish his experiences. But I forget that a lot of people haven't had those experiences. They don't really know how to bait a hook. They don't know how to fish for a specific species of fish. Just what lures to use. I mean, sometimes it's just what do you want to catch? How do you want to catch them? Is it with bait? Is it with artificial lures? What's easier to use to catch fish? A lot of that comes into play, and not to go into too much detail. I would love to do a series for beginners. We'll have a video each week, and we'll just kind of go over all the basics so you guys can just get out there and catch fish. I mean, that's the best thing to do, especially during the times that we're living right now. I mean, what's better than catching fish and learning something new? So, saying that, I want to go over what's in my bag here, and I'm going to pull that up in a second. But as you know, I do a lot of trout fishing. When the water's cold in the state of Maryland, it's really tough to catch bass. Not that I give up on catching them or attempting to catch them. For me, I love trout season. It's something that I look forward to. It's just like football for sports fans, which I am as well. You definitely cherish the time that you have because trout don't live in Maryland all year unless in specific water systems. One of the things when you're fishing, and if you're young, you don't have a lot of money. If you just have a low income to start, or you really just don't know what you want, you don't want to spend too much on it. Go with the basics. I would suggest getting a relatively cheap rod. I did a Berkeley Amp review. It was only a $29 rod. Get something like that to get you going. I'd say maybe a 6-foot rod, something that's not too long, that you can get a good cast out. Get a reel that's relatively not too cheap but not too expensive. I like Shimano reels. Sometimes you can get a Shimano reel for around 60 or 70 bucks. That might sound like a lot of money, but it's going to last a lot longer, and you're not going to have to replace it in a long time. So, but just go look at Walmart. I mean, Walmart actually has a lot of good deals. I know it's a massive superstore and does hurt America for the most part when you look at how many jobs are displaced because of those major box stores. But look at Walmart, see what they have. If it's cheap and it helps you out, just go for it. Go on Bass Pro. There's a lot of resources. Fish USA, I just kind of caught wind of that, and they have really good deals. They actually have a Shimano reel, I think, for like 12 bucks. It's all plastic design, but I mean, try it out. So this is something I got from eBay not too long ago. This is like a regular pouch. Right here I have 4 steps to get the lures out of the fish's mouth. It has ample space for anything that you need. This was like maybe 20 bucks. The name brand iLure. It's like a foreign brand, but it works really well. This I love for trout fishing because I can do everything that I want with it. I can have artificial lures in here. I have everything for live bait if I need to use it, and where it's admissible to use, or where you can use live bait, I should say. And some flies, because I also have a travel pack rod that converts to a fly rod and a regular fishing rod. So I'll just go through this. I can put my tippet right in this little pouch right here. I have split shots in there. And this just goes right over the shoulder. So just to let you know, it's just like that, okay? And I have a net release that I put right below here, and I can show you. That goes right in this little hole here. I move it around from time to time. You have, like I said, a lot of ample space. And these packs sometimes, depending on what brand you get, like Orvis or something, I mean, you can spend like 80, 100 bucks, and honestly, this has done me well. I have spinners, spoons right there. Okay, put that back. In the front pocket, And I'm just doing this as we go, guys. Sorry, it's not the highest quality production right now, but just to give you an idea of what we're doing here. A little pouch right here made by Clam. I have all of my live bait stuff right here, or power bait. Got my treble hooks, split shots, sinkers, all that good stuff. So I have room for that in here. Okay. And you don't want to travel with a lot of weight. You know, the more you hike, the more that you're walking around. You want to limit the fatigue factor. You know, I think that's very important, and you don't really hear a lot about that. I've seen even a fishing review guy who runs around with a duffel bag. You know, and I'm not hating on that. To each his own. But I mean, are you really going to run through the woods with a duffel bag and you're traveling 1.5 miles of a hike? I don't know. But I got my fishing license in here, and there's just so much I can keep in here that I even have all of my flies. So, as you can see, this pack really holds a lot of stuff. I have 2 fly boxes in here. So when you first start fishing, one of the things that you want to do is not buy a lot of lures that might not work that well for you. So this is more of a review geared to getting a small pack that you can work with and build up to. Because I'm a bank fisherman. I used to fish on a boat a lot as a child, but you know, and growing up. But get something that you're comfortable using, and don't use a bunch of different lures where you're not really sure of how they work. Just be proficient at each one, and then move along as you go. You know, do what you want, of course, but those are the things that help me out a lot. And the species that you want to target. Everyone wants to go for the biggest fish sometimes, but if you go for like bluegill and panfish and crappie and stuff like that, they're really fun to catch, and you'll learn a lot of kind of things that work. They pertain to every style of fishing, at least for freshwater. So now that I have this pack open, I'm actually going to go through a few lures that I like to use, and this will be a good starting point for you to see what to purchase to use to catch fish quickly and right away, or you know, just you know, whatever floats your boat, so to speak. All right, we'll go in here, and I want to keep this relevant to the times right now. It's spring, so smallmouth bass, they're not really active right yet. Once the water temps get up to like 60 degrees, you'll really start seeing them pop off. When you go to different bodies of water, you go to small, you know, rivers, streams, stuff like that. I like using this. This is a Rapala floating minnow. I've used this for trout. For trout, you want to get a little smaller size. I'm going to pull that out just now. So you have a smaller size right there. These are great because you can use them as a jerk bait where you're retrieving them in. They're just going to slowly go down. As you see, the lip is not too deep on it's not a sharp decline. So that means that basically it's going to be within the first foot of water, and it's just going to start wiggling. And as a jerk bait, once you move your rod tip, it's going to move with it. It's going to be erratic, just almost like a wounded bait fish. And a lot of the times you'll get hits just doing that, just jerking the bait along and letting it pause and giving a chance for that fish to take. Small little crankbaits like this for smallmouth, if you can see that right there, that's a little crawfish. So the next one, not in any particular order, you want a spinner, a little inline spinner. I've caught many trout with this, bluegill, bass, anything that looks like a minnow. Typically, fish are going to inhale it. I mean, this is just a little older spinner that I just found in the box. This mimics a rainbow trout here. You use those, you'll do really well. That's the second option right there. Using a float and fly technique, use a little bobber like this with a small split shot, something like this. I have it in a little container right there. Okay, that'll keep it. Add it to your desired depth, okay, for how deep you want it. If you know the fish are suspended, or you feel like they are, just move it every catch. Just move it a little bit just to see where they're holding. The shorter it is, you bring it in, the shallower. The longer the stretch, the deeper it is. All right, simple stuff. I'm gonna go show you something that is a lure that's tried and true for me. It doesn't have to be the brand name, but it's a spoon, and spoons do extremely well. If I were on a desert island, I guess, or I was deserting a place where I only had one lure to use to catch any type of fish, I'm throwing this. This is a spoon. Just a typical run-of-the-mill spoon. I believe this is not even a Castmaster, okay? And these mimic a wounded, dying fish, and they do very well. And you can use this anywhere in any situation. And another thing that's great about it is they're relatively cheap. I mean, they're usually like $3 or $4, so you don't want, not too cheap, but not too bad. You don't want to snag a lot of these. They work well in open water, like lakes and ponds, and they also work well in the ocean, bays, wherever. You throw this, fish are going to chase it. Very good lure. You can catch, it's a multi-species lure that it rarely fails. With that sink, you could jig it off the bottom, or you could just do a slow retrieve, fast retrieve, whatever you want. It works. It's very versatile lure. Hopefully you guys are still with me here. Little shad darts. These things, as I showed you, like the float and fly, you could use little jigs like this. Okay? These you could pair up and you could tie off the back and have multiple ones when the shad run. You can catch these, hence the shad dart title. But one of the things, and I know you've seen them in my recent videos that I love to use, paired with the jig head, are these trout magnets. Now you can fish these off the bottom, or you can suspend them with just your typical bobber. Like I said, this is a Thill bobber. You can use old school bobbers that you use as a little kid. You know, that's really the basics, guys. Fly fishing is something that takes time and dedication to get the cast down pat. As far as a beginner, first video, I didn't want to go too in depth, and I didn't really want to go too far into everything. I wanted to go in depth each video as the series goes along. So I guess kind of to wrap all this up, get an inexpensive rod, something around $20 to $30. There's Shakespeare. There's, you know, just, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be overkill or go overboard. If you want to buy a nice expensive rod to start off with, that's great. Don't worry about it. But just get used to actually going out fishing and just relaxing, you know, just having a good time and learning and asking questions. And I would use lures like the spinners and spoons to start out, especially this time of year. They work really well. You can catch any type of fish. Now, if I want to target larger fish, larger bass and stuff like that, personally, I like to use soft plastics, you know, plastic worms, lizards, grubs, stuff like that. That's something that I feel comfortable with. Okay, so whatever your proficiency is, you know, run with that. Just like I don't catch a lot of fish on lipless crankbaits, which I've been practicing trying to do that more in deeper water. But then again, I usually fish in a lot of shallow areas, so I don't have a lot of opportunities to. So you have to adjust to the bodies of water that you fish, okay? All the lures that I showed you that are in this pack right here are great to start out with. So I would suggest using spoons or inline spinners, and you can still catch large bass with that and large fish, even pickerel, chain pickerel, pike, stuff like. Spoons are great for that. So maybe start out with a spoon. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them below what you want to learn about, and you know we can talk about it. You know, as much as you want. Fishing is something that I've always loved, and I love to teach you guys what you want to learn. I mean. I guess that's pretty much it. As far as the lures to start off with, like I said, get an inexpensive combo rod and reel. Just go ahead and just go out and just start fishing, man. Just go out and have a good time. I would say using smaller lures to get a gist for the feeling of catching a fish. You know, when you get bluegill, a small bluegill is still fun. There's something about catching a fish for the first time. It got me hooked, no pun intended. But try out these techniques of, learning how to use different smaller lures to just hook up on something, just to get you going, and then once you get proficient with the spoons and inline spinners, then I would work my way up to the float and fly technique. And that's a good thing to use when the fish are holding in specific areas. And then after that, we can go into some bass fishing techniques. And I would say line. As far as line, I would use probably 6 to 8 pound tests. Will be easier for you to throw lures further out because it's very thin diameter. And I would start with monofilament personally instead of braid. You won't have as much hang up, bird's nests and stuff like that. Use a spinning reel. Go ahead and use a spinning reel. Closed face reels are good for very beginner because you won't get a lot of bird's nests, as they call it, or tangles as much. I would go with a small ultralight spinning reel and combo, or closed face reel, and just work from there. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it was a lot to take in all at once. But if you have any questions or comments, please put them below. And if there's anything that you guys want to learn about, I can put it in the next video. And again, this is something that I'm hoping could help a lot of people. And it's fun. We'll learn together. I mean, I could always learn some new stuff, even if it's from a beginner. Sometimes fishing is weird. You learn new techniques that you stumble across, and they're successful. So once again, thanks again for all the love that you guys have been showing me as we're getting through this pandemic, and I hope to see you guys out in the water. And once again, tight lines.